Hey YouTube, new patch just hit today, so I've been laddering with a couple different decks. The one I'm playing here is the most promising of the decks I've been working on so far. This match is taking place around 2500 MMR on the regular ladder, but since the patch just hit, this is also top 100 on the regular ladder. My opponent is playing a very typical Nilfgaard Spies deck like you'd see from the last patch. Nothing too interesting here with the mulligan decisions. I send back the redundant cards I don't want multiple copies of and hold off on the last mulligan. I very rarely pass on mulligans with this deck, as there aren't many things that you don't want to draw, but my hand was basically perfect, and any mulligan is pretty much guaranteed to make it worse. I win the coin flip, which is a huge deal against Spies. Part of what makes the Spies deck so good is the Rainfarn into Cantarella for a 2-point Spy, which almost always forces a pass if Spies wins the coin toss. Especially since I don't have room to play my own Udalryk in this deck. This is one of those decks where if I could cut a gold card to play another silver, I easily would. I briefly consider playing Skjal before I realize I haven't even played Croc yet, so I pull out the Strengthened Morkvarg with Tempo. Here's where the game gets crazy, and nothing you're about to see should happen in a real game if your opponent correctly reads your cards. Let's talk about Herald for a second here, because it's really hard to evaluate at a glance. On paper, and in the game, he looks insane. 6 points by himself, and then he strengthens something for 3, hits your opponent for a third of a lacerate. On top of all that, he spawns something from your deck. If you total everything up, when Herald works, he's something absurd like a 30 to 35 point silver. In this game, we're going to see his ceiling. Here's where my opponent throws the game. If he uses one shot on the skull that deals 1 to his middle row, the skull that spawns a cursed unit wouldn't trigger, since it has to happen on my turn being a revenge tag. If he played this correctly, he would have gotten away with Herald being only a 13 point silver. Instead, this round totally falls apart for him. I get a free 12 point unit and some insane tempo. My opponent has to break 21 in one card, which isn't happening. It's tempting to Armor Smith here, but he has 4 payoff cards in play, and I have a pass, so I take it. He can go down 2 to win the round if he wants. I have carryover to deny the dry pass. With all 3 of his enforcers gone, Armor Smith is an easy mulligan here. My main goal is to stay ahead of him at every point in this round. If he wants to drag out a long round, I'm fine with it. He hasn't used his Cantarella yet, so I look deceptively more ahead than I am. I certainly got a favorable result out of round 1, but I'm only actually up by 1 card here, even with the open pass denial. As long as I maintain the last play with Corolo, I should win easily in round 3. I'm not sure why he keeps killing my Berserkers off so aggressively. It makes sense on some level since he only has 2 spy payoffs left, but these 5-point assassins aren't really great either. This seems like the best Yennefer I'm gonna get. Yen is in here to make Chronexus to damage your board for the Berserkers, but the Unicorn comes up pretty often too. He plays out his 2-point spy, and I have 2 main big tempo options here. The one I opt for is to Sigrifa into the Denje, which is worth 20 points. The other option is to restore Skjal, who will pull a 9-point Berserker Marauder, which sets up Sigrifa for next round to pull up another Skjal into Marauder. Another benefit of playing the Restore first is that it doesn't give him a good Menno target, but the 18-point Denji is as good as they come. The Restore play is almost certainly better in every conceivable way, I just didn't see it at the time. He plays a really late Ox, and I'm happy to let him bleed me down here. I should have played Ard here instead of the Lugos. The Ard is technically worth an extra point, but it's more difficult to find a spot to use him in a short round, where Lugos is always live. This mulligan is playing pretty safe. Battle Maiden is the highest ceiling card in my deck here, but it's bricked if he somehow kills the Marauder that Skjal pulls. I don't think a reasonable world exists where this happens, but every other card in my deck is worth enough points, and I'm far enough ahead already that I don't mind playing it really safe here. The rest of this game is just me playing out the rest of my cards and easily overpowering him. He has some good cards left over, but they aren't anywhere near big enough. Anyway, I thought this was a pretty cool game of the best deck from the previous patch, getting pretty dismantled by what so far seems to me like the best deck of the current patch. The list still has some refinement to be done. For example, not playing Udalryk is almost certainly wrong. I'll probably play most of my games on the pro ladder starting tomorrow now that I've found a couple decks that I think are good. Until next time.